Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about function operations. So let's get right into it. Now, this is very similar to how you would evaluate a function. It's a little more challenging though, because there's typically more operations going on here. So make sure that you are proficient with evaluating functions. And if you do not know how to evaluate a function, I'll go ahead and put the link to the video below on how to do that. So go ahead and check it out. But with that being said, assuming you know how to evaluate a function, let's talk about how we're going to do these problems here. So you can see that we have two functions here. We have g of n and we have f of n. They want us to find g times f and then of n. So the first thing that you have to understand is, what are they even asking you to do here? Well, we know that this operation right here is multiplication, okay? So essentially what they want you to do is g of n times f of n, okay? That's what this means right here, okay? It's the same exact thing, but this obviously right here is a little more obvious, okay? So what is g of n? G of n is n minus n. So I'm going to put here n minus n, and then times f of n, which is negative n, plus 5, okay? Now, think about this logically here. Typically, we'd have to do FOIL, first outside, inside, last. But if I have n minus n, what does that tell you? Well, it tells you that this whole part here is going to be 0. So I have 0 times negative n plus 5, meaning the whole problem is going to be 0. That's it. So here's my answer right here. So g times f of n is going to be 0. All right, let's try another example. So here's our next example. This one's a little more challenging, but again, you have this x on the outside, and they want you to do negative 5h plus 3g, and then again of x. So what we want to do is rewrite it, that way it's a little more obvious, okay? So what they actually want you to do here is negative 5h of x, okay? And then plus 3g of x, okay? And so you can think of distributing this x inside. That's essentially what's happening here. All right. So I have to do negative 5 times h of x. So h of x is right here. I'm going to multiply everything by negative 5. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the problem as negative 5 times h of x, which is going to be negative 2x minus 4. Okay. Then I have plus 3. Now my g of x is going to be x plus 3. So times x plus 3. And from here, we just have to simplify it down. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute negative 5 here and here. And also with 3, I'm going to distribute here and here, and then we'll combine like terms. So when I distribute, I get positive 10x plus 20. Then I get plus 3x, and then plus 9. Okay, so from here, we want to go ahead and combine like terms. So 10x, 3x, that will give me 13x. So I'm done with these. And then I have 20 plus 9, that will give me 29. So plus 29, and there we go. There's my answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. Okay, so here's our next example. Here they want us to do f divided by g of x. So again, what you want to do is rewrite it. That way it makes a little more sense of what they actually want you to do here. You're going to be doing f of x, so f of x, divided by g of x. That's what they want you to do, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. F of x is 3x minus 4, so 3x minus 4, over g of x, which is going to be 4x plus 2. From here, you want to see if you could possibly factor and see if a factor will cancel out. So for example, if you look at your numerator, there's nothing I can factor out, but on my denominator, I could factor out a 2 between the 4x and the 2. So I could rewrite it as 3x minus 4 over 2 times 2x, and then plus 1, okay? Now, on this one here, nothing is going to cancel. I do not have a common factor. Nothing will cancel, right? So this right here is going to be my final answer, okay? All right, let's try another problem. So here's our next example, and you want to be careful with this one because this operation right here is not multiplication. Notice how you have an open circle there, not a closed circle. That is a little bit different. This is a composition, okay? And I have a video on compositions. If you don't know how to do them, go ahead and check the link below because I will link that video. That way you have access to that content. But a composition is pretty simple. What they want you to do here is g of x. So for example, they want you to do g of x, okay? So if you're ever given a problem like this here, that is a composition because they have an open circle. And when you write the composition, think about reading a book going left to right. The first part that I'm going to write is this g right here. That's why I wrote it right here. And then this g of x goes together. All right, so then g of x I have right here, right? So just understand this right here is the same thing as this right here, but this one over here is a little more obvious on what they want us to do, okay? So this is a composition. Again, you're not multiplying, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and take g of x, which is x plus 3, and then I'm gonna replug it into g of x wherever I see an x, right? So here's g of x, here's my x, I'm gonna plug in x plus 3. So for example, here's my x, I plug in x plus 3, and then I still have plus 3. So 3 plus 3 is 6, meaning I get x plus 6. I'm done, right? So g of x is going to be x plus 6. And again, that is a composition, not multiplication. All right, let's go ahead and try 2 more examples. So here's my next example. This one, they want me to do g minus h of a, okay? So what is g? Well, g of a is negative 3a squared minus 1. I'm going to go ahead and write that. And actually, before we do, why don't we go ahead and put it in the format that's more obvious? So they want us to do g of a minus h of a. Okay, so now that we have that written down, let's go ahead and do it. G of a is going to be negative 3a squared minus 1. And then I have minus. Make sure you put minus right now, okay? Don't wait, because you are going to have to distribute that negative sign, okay? And you'll see what I'm talking about. So h of a is a minus 3. So in parentheses, I'm going to put a minus 3 because, again, this minus sign right here is telling me that it has to be applied to all of h of a, which I have right here, okay? So you're going to take this negative and distribute inside, and then you're going to simplify, okay? So I'm going to get negative 3a squared minus 1, and then I get negative a, and then plus 3, okay? So from here, you want to look for like terms, which I have right here and here. So rewriting it, I get negative 3a squared minus a. So again, I'm done with this term, and then I have negative 1 plus 3. That's going to give me plus 2. So plus 2, okay? And that's it. All right, here's my answer. Nothing else I can do here. All right? All right, let's try one more example. Okay, so here's my next example. This one's going to be addition. Let's go ahead and rewrite it in the more obvious format. That's going to be g of x plus h of x. Okay, so what is g of x? That is going to be x squared plus 2x. So x squared plus 2x, and then I have plus, because that's the operation. So plus, and then h of x, that is going to be 3x plus 5. So 3x plus 5. From here, combine like terms. Well, x squared, I can't combine that with anything. Okay, I'm done with it. Cross it out. Then I have 2x and 3x. That will give me 5x plus 5x. I'm done with it. And then I have plus 5. And we are done. Here it is. Okay. And that is it. So that is function operations. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing that you have to remember is the difference between multiplication and a composition. They do look very similar, but with a composition, remember, you're going to have that open circle, whereas with multiplication, it's going to be that closed circle, okay? Also, it's always beneficial to go ahead and rewrite the problem in a format that's more obvious. So for example, like we did here, we had g plus h of x. We rewrote it as g of x plus h of x, all right? That's always a good practice because it does make the problem a little more obvious and what they want you to do becomes more apparent, okay? So that's it. I hope that you found the video helpful. I hope that you gained something from it. If the video did in fact help you, if you could just go ahead and give it a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel. That way you get more math videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.